So today is a special episode of this podcast where I get to sit down with people from my alma mater at Wilkes University, Coach John Laudenslager and his new associate head coach Pankil Chander. And for me, this is a special moment. And I tell these guys every time I talk to them, anything I can do to promote Wilkes on a holistic scale, but specifically Wilkes athletics, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to shy away from my biases. I don't have too many of them, but when it comes to the school that literally made me, I'm always going to have them. So I'm really happy to have you guys on. When I saw that you guys were creating a women's program and that, a lot of things were changing in the athletic program, I sent Pankil a text immediately and I was like, I got to have you guys on. I want to talk about these things. I want to make sure that this thing gets out to the masses so that everyone knows the type of things that are happening at the Division 3 level. I normally focus on the Division 1, even though I was a Division 3 athlete. There's a lot of focus more obviously on the Division 1 level, but there's a lot of things that are happening in sports in general that is a trickle down effect. And there's new rules and there's new changes to recruiting and the transfer portal and NIL. And like I said, everybody focuses on the Division 1 level of those things, but it affects every single level. But I want to dig into the transition of things at Wilkes University specifically. And Coach Slager, I'm going to start with you. You've been on campus before we even came on. We were talking about how my first year on campus in 2005 was your second year as a head coach. How have you seen things grow on that Wilkes University campus?
Yes. Well, first, thanks for having us, Ryan. This is great. Been a minute since we caught up, but probably since the Yanni Rutherford match here. But
Yeah.
good to talk to you. But yeah, athletics is just it's popping. I mean, it's just popping, right? I mean, we added hockey now, which brings a great energy to the campus, right? Hockey games, men and women. I mean, so, but adding women's wrestling is just another part of our growth. So 24th sport, and I think adding some full time assistants, those type of things. So yeah, athletics part's growing, but the campus. I mean, I don't know the last time you've been to campus, but I'm pretty sure the Karen Bellis Media Center wasn't there. The TV studio. I mean, maybe you saw pictures, or maybe you have been back to campus, but the whole campus is just so different. I mean,
Yeah, I had a chance to see some pictures of it. I think I was back a couple years ago. My friend Christy Barsby was getting inducted into the Wilkes Hall of Fame. So we made it a point to go back and support her. Unfortunately, when we were inducted for football, there was during COVID, so ours was a virtual meet for the Hall of Fame. But I saw pictures of the new center, and I was pretty jealous of it now being on this side of things, and not being a student at Wilkes and thinking like, man, I really wish I was able to kind of partake in those stuff. But I love to see the growth of campus, and I love to see how things are transitioning and how they're growing. Um, and Pankil, I want to come to you. We spoke the other day about how you made the transition back to River Street and the right side of River Street, I should say. And what was it about coming back home to Wilkes University that really spoke to you and why you wanted to join your old coach and join the staff at Wilkes U?
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks, Ryan. I mean, I think this is something me and Coach have talked about for basically since I graduated back in 2017, right? And I had a phenomenal experience and a really impactful one wrestling at Wilkes for a coach. And everywhere I've been, we've kind of always implemented the Wilkes system, right? In every program, whether it's Gettysburg, Springfield, wherever it was. So it's something we've talked about for a long time. And like you said, Wilkes Athletics has really grown. And I think with the addition of women's wrestling that, I know Coach has been trying to do for years. And we got a new athletic director and some things, we're able to align at the right time and really support the wrestling program really well, really support my kind of candidacy as a coach really well. So a lot of things aligned at really the perfect time, so it took about 7 or 8 years, but I think all those kind of stops I've had in between make it that much more meaningful to come back and tongue in cheek, but I also mean it too. Like I didn't realize how good I had it at Wilkes. I mean, look, we have one of the best wrestling rooms in the country. Some of the best athletic facilities in the country, in my opinion. So, kind of had to be at multiple places and realize how great of a thing we had here. And I knew it as an athlete too, but it's just really good to be back. And, it's not many college programs right now in the country. And you probably know, you could probably name some. I know you're You have a lot of those off the top of your head that have two full-time coaches on staff that are both alumni of the program, you
Yeah.
know. So
And Coach Slogger, what was it about bringing Pankil back on campus that really spoke to you? Why did you feel that that was the right move as you now move to director of wrestling at Wilkes?
Yeah, so I think that's, I mean, first of all, I've got to watch Pankil jump from, Gettysburg as a grad assistant in Springfield and the things he's done, right? I think that's respect, right? I can see the other thing, he's got such passion for Wilkes, right? I know he's a great young coach. Like I've got to witness what he's done. I mean, so when this opportunity really came about, I clearly had him on the back of my head right in the beginning, right in the beginning. And so it's just like, and I wanted somebody who understands our tradition, right? Understands our alumni base, understands our system, right? Because it's not broke, right? We've got 920 wins or something like that. You know what I mean? So, and it just understand the caring for the athlete, right? Not just the winning and the losing, but the mentoring part, which I think Wilkes is great at. And I think that's a big part of our culture here. Taking kids that maybe are a little bit on the lower end academically, and we graduate them and they go on great people. I was probably one of those guys coming in for Coach Reese back in the day. So just understanding the pride in our program, those were important things for me. What I would be looking for, trust is, I don't have to worry about trust issues, right? He's going to put our program first, and he's going to put our program in a good spotlight, just like today, right? Interviews like this, and I don't have to worry about what's going. I don't have to watch him. I know he's got our interest in always positive, always forward. So
Yeah.
just excited to get the opportunity to bring him back.
Yeah. And speaking to the growth of Wilkes wrestling, I was actually there to witness the tradition, right? And I have two very best friends that I speak to literally every day, and Andrew Drake and Angelo DeLeo, that it was, it's part of just who we are. It's part of our DNA of being like Wilkes Colonels. And, they were wrestlers. They got a chance to wrestle for you. I was on the football team, so I didn't get a chance to be in the wrestling room with those guys, but the tradition was always there. We literally were speaking about that not 5 minutes ago before I came on to speak with you guys about just the hard work and dedication that you instilled in them. And, the way that they've seen the growth as former alumni, wrestling alumni at Wilkes, they're extremely proud of it. And one of the things that I always love to talk to people about with going to Wilkes is the Wilkes Open, and how you guys have always had the Wilkes Open, and then now you have John Reese duels and everything else. Establishing stuff like that, what does it mean to you as somebody who's now been coaching for 22 years at Wilkes? What's it mean to you to see those things grow over the years and have that tradition just so steeped into not just Division III wrestling, but wrestling history in and of itself?
Yeah. I mean, we're going 91st year of the Wilkes Open right now. I mean, I can't say for certain it's the oldest term in the country, but I believe it is. So, and to add to John Reese duels, that's one of the first things I did when I took over, was start that. To me, that's important, right? Your past is very important, and remembering Coach Reese forever is going to live on, right? He's just a legend of our sport, and those kind of traditions are much like our team, though. Like, our team has always been very close, and I think that's what Coach Reese really built, was a family. You can see that back in old pictures, one big happy family from 1974 when they won the Division III national title, and I think that's something we try to take every September to build our guys up culturally, right? I think you gotta like each other. I think that's important. And when you care about the guy next to you, and you're working on, not just in the wrestling room, but in life, right? I think that's why you go to some of these weddings right now when I get the opportunity to, and there's 15 guys there, and it's a different atmosphere than practice at the weddings, but it's great to see these guys. And I got one of your Easton boys' weddings coming up, Mark Hartenstein, who's an All-American. His wedding's coming up in about 2 weeks, so looking forward to seeing a bunch of guys again. And but that's what it's about. I think it's the winning and losing is, obviously that's something you always want to be on the positive end of, but it's building the brotherhood, the family, and camaraderie together. I think those are things I think guys want to come. We have a big reunion coming up. That's why they want to come back. They want to see each other, and it's they don't always have to act like they're 21 when they come back and they're 45, but it's great to see these guys, man. And that's what our program's been great at. The reunions every 5 years. And you would know that. I mean, you were a guy who tried to recruit.
Yeah.
You get out on the mat. You're a little resistant. Couldn't get you, but you know, I think people see that around our campus how close our program is, not just our team. You know, our program. We do bring guys back, and you know, things like that. So.
Yeah, I think I was more resistant to the scale back then. I wanted to see the numbers keep getting bigger instead of getting smaller. So I opted to put the helmet on instead of the headgear. But you know, like I said, I got a chance to be around you on that campus and see the different things that you did with the team and how you handled the team, and not just how you handled your own wrestlers, but how you handled all the athletes. You know, there were a number of us ex wrestlers that were on the football team, and, you know, as many times as you would see us, you would definitely try to recruit us. But, you know, you were always such a personable guy, so respectful. So seeing how you've made the transition of things and seeing Pankil want to come back, it's really easy to see. And now this next step is you guys becoming the first in the landmark conference to have a women's program. And women's wrestling, it's booming, right? I've had a chance to cover wrestling since 2014 when I came on with Flo. And then even before then, when I was at the Express Times newspaper right out of college, right? So I've seen how women's wrestling has really exploded because now back home in Easton has a team. My high school, Wilson has a team as well. And it just continues to really grow. And now, like I said, you guys are the first in the landmark conference to have a women's program. It's the 24th sport on campus. What sort of things were you guys looking at that said, we need to have a women's program and this is the time right now to do it?
Yeah, so that's been building a little bit now, right? I mean, think you know, Addie Malatesta, who was the athletic director when I had conversation with her about maybe 5-6 years ago. Hey, do we want to start this be on the front end of it? You know, I always thought it would be good. And then we had a young lady, Allie Gundla, who came and wrestled here for 4 years, pharmacy girl. And you know, she didn't get the opportunity to be on a women's team, but she wanted to continue to wrestle. I said, yeah, come work hard. We'll get you in, you know, she had to go into men's tournaments, but you know, so that was, and she just graduated 2023, so last year. So that was great. So that's how it all started. You know, kind of her really pushing the idea for me that this needs to happen, right? I think at that point it was still an emerging sport, you know, and now next year is the first opportunity for a championship, correct? So, and then we got a new athletic director, you know, and Scott Musa went out to nationals with us this year in Wisconsin, and you know, we had 3 guys. We had the one All-American, and doing our end of the season follow-up meeting the very next Monday. I was going in to see him about some things, and you know, I've been trying to push for this full-time position for the men's side, and he said, I think we have an opportunity because you know, the president spoke about starting women's wrestling. I want to start winning women's wrestling. I see the passion and the pride in your program and those type of things. So that's kind of where it really started, really, so maybe really gaining some legs and taking off was probably in March. And it took a little bit of time to go through the board of directors, the process, and here we are. And it's something we're excited about, something I've, you know, been pushing for, you know, not at a hard level because we weren't quite at the NCAA, and I understood that a little bit. You know, we didn't want to be a club at that point, and you know, but next year we're a varsity sport. We're gonna put a full team out there and give young ladies the opportunity to be at the first national tournament. I think that's important, you know,
Yeah.
So
For sure. Pankil, you know, you and I have crossed paths a number of times. It was literally Coach Slaughter that connected us. You were going into your senior year and you reached out to me on, you know, the advice from Coach Slaughter saying, hey, you know, he told me that I should check in with you, right? You would be somebody that I should definitely talk to. And now you're going to be coming back to Wilkes, and the last time you were there, you were putting on the singlet for Wilkes, right? Like now you're going to be in the coaching chair. How do you feel about, one, now being in the coaching chair at your alma mater, and two, the fact that you get to instill in the next recruits, the next guys that you're bringing in, what Coach Slaughter instilled in you, right? How does that make you feel to now be a part of something so big that helped you build into the coach and the wrestler that you are?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, it's kind of surreal, right? Because I remember even, you know, as a young freshman wrestler, like, you know, coach, the reason why coach is a great coach is because he was honest with you. there's a lot of things he was honest with me about it that I needed to improve on. It's going throughout my college years, and I took that really seriously. I took that feedback really seriously, and over the years implemented it. And then obviously, through the last 7 years of multiple coaching stops, always picked his brain about, he's the go-to guy that I call on various things. Right. So I took a lot of that feedback seriously and implemented it, and just try to grow in every stop that I could. And now coming back to Wilkes, it's just, I like you said, I know the tradition, I know the standard of excellence that the program has, and just how many great wrestlers have come through here. So it's kind of surreal, but it's also just exciting, like we had, the fact that we have 2 alumni coaching the program, I think is huge. And I think we can relate to our guys in a really unique way, because we've literally been through their experience directly. Right. So it's really exciting. And something that, like I said, you almost have almost a profound connection with the guys on the team, because you've literally been in their shoes at the exact same campus, exact same dorm. It's actually funny. We had moving day yesterday. There was a couple wrestlers that lived in the exact same dorm room I lived in 11 years ago. And you know what I mean? And everything's still the same. And it's like, man, I told those guys, they're freshmen right now in college. I'm like, I literally lived in this dorm 11 years ago, just like you did. So, and they're going to be, wrestlers on our team. So I think that's a really unique connection that I'll get to have. It's, I cared about every guy I coached at every stop. But it's just going to feel a little bit different, I think, coaching a Wilkes wrestler in a really, unique and great way. And like I said, that's not, I care about every guy I've ever coached in a really powerful way, but this stop just means a little bit more because it's a place that really shaped me.
Mhm. And yeah, you were part of the tradition as a competitor, and now you're going to be part of it as a coach. But it's a very big tradition. The tradition is growing even bigger now that you're going to have women's wrestling, right? And that's going to be huge. Pankil, as a coach for your alma mater, being in this huge transition period, what are some of those things that, like you said, you've had some other stops, so you've seen how a lot of these other programs have worked. What are some of the things that you've learned along your way that you wanted to bring back to Wilkes, especially with them creating a women's program now?
I think at the end of the day, it's a lot about recruiting is a lifeline, right? So I know that's one thing we've really put a heavy focus on, especially in this first couple of weeks, is how are we going to really continue to separate ourselves in recruiting and tell our story in a unique way. And I think that's primarily one of the things that have been my strengths as a college coach is our ability to recruit well, right? So I think just on the forefront, I think that's something low hanging fruit that we can really tackle right away and make an immediate impact on the program. And coach has done a phenomenal job recruiting. I mean, we have recruited Cameron Bucka, who is a AAA state place winner, and he's 4th in the country last year, right? Highest returning place finisher at 197 pounds in Division III, who's probably going to start the year, right? Number 1 in the country, ranked number 1 in the country in the preseason. So it's almost, the tradition that we've had. And you have many Easton guys that have come through here. It's a great district, 11 wrestlers, right? Arguably one of the best districts in the country. So, it's going to be really fun to tell our story from a recruiting standpoint, because we have a lot to sell here. We have a lot to offer here. I think that's something I've learned at different stops is every school has its unique story. Every school has strengths that they can leverage really well. And you can be honest in leveraging those. We're going to tell every kid that comes here what we do well and what we don't do well. We're never going to try to sell them something that we're not. We're going to authentically tell our story and make sure we're doing that in a really meaningful way, so that when they do get here, they know that this is the best stop for them, and they have no doubts. So just like coach has done for a long time. But it is right now. Everything's evolving, right? There's storytelling on social media. There's maybe different expectations that recruits have for how they want to be recruited. So a lot of that's evolved over the last 10, 20 years, right? So I think that's on the surface. I think that's one of the main things that I've learned at multiple stops, just because I've context at these other places, and I can authentically say what we do well in relation to other places, or from my own experience.
Coach Slogger, I want to wrap up here. And as we've talked, you've talked about some of the different people that were really instrumental in the growth of Wilkes wrestling. But who would you say were, kind of the major players that really helped push to get women's wrestling on campus, and how things have really transitioned for you guys and how they've grown?
Yeah, it's honestly, I think the biggest person, I want to say people, but it's just the growth of women's wrestling in general, right? I mean, I go to a state tournament. It's not, coach, how you been? How you doing? It's when you start women's wrestling, right? The excitement just and the build and just really our new athletic director. We have a fairly new president. They see the brand that we put out there. They understand that the tradition. So I think it's just in general, it's our program needs to continue to evolve and bring this opportunity to women, right? Because I think it's a great brand, right? I think I know our guys from 1946, 47 when we started the program all have had great experiences. I know we can provide that same experience to women, and it's a great school, as you know. Everyone loves their time here. We had one of our incoming kids' mom was on campus. She was a Wilkes Colonel, and she's beaming with a smile to be back, and that her son's coming to campus next year. So it's just a great place for education, but we're doing it the right way. I think me becoming a director, full-time associate men's head coach, we're gonna be adding a full-time women's coach maybe as early as January, February, to kind of get on the back into that recruiting cycle here, and and then all the complements of resources of the interns and the part-time people on both sides. So which is really why when they brought the idea of bringing it, or want to start women's wrestling, that's great, and I want to, and I'm 100% fine, but I also want to enhance our men's team. I think that was important to me as well, because you can't take me and put me on the women and just add one more men's. It's not adding anything to the men's program. So me being able to shift back and forth and oversee both programs, where Pankil's really hands-on every day running the men's program, and I might have to have a little bit more oversight in the women, because it's such a new program, and there's a lot of young coaches, and we want to get a great coach. That's why I don't think we want to rush into getting just a coach. We want to advertise, get the right coach, and somebody who wants to make a difference, be part of our tradition, and just grow our brand to the women's side of things. So
Yeah. Well, Coach, that's awesome. Like I said, I love the tradition and how things are expanding at Wilkes. As soon as I saw the release, I said, this is something that is transcendent. Obviously, I've obviously been in the sport from a media standpoint for 15 years now, and grew up a wrestler as well, and had some girls that were in the room with me even when I was in high school, right? So it's been really great to see how things are transitioning. It's great to see Pankil back in the Wilkes colors, and you also still there, gaining ground on literally every single record that's in the book, right? So it's awesome to have you guys teaming up once again. I know Wilkes is in really really great hands, and I'll have to make it a point to, when I'm back in Pennsylvania, to stop in and see the new facilities and see the things that you guys are doing. But like I said, congratulations to you, Pankil, on the new position, and congratulations to you as well, Coach Slogger, on yours, and making all the progress that you've made. I really appreciate you guys sitting down, talking with me. So, good luck with the growth of the women's program and everything else. And, I'll definitely be paying attention. If there's ever anything you guys need, feel free to reach out.